I don't know what's more confusing, learning astrology or just being a human. Moonday Musings is here to help with that. A weekly, no bullshit guide for the upcoming cosmic forecast and how you can actually use this in your real life. Well, hello, neighbor. My warmest solstice blessings to you, my friend. Brief update. Sorry about missing Moonday this week. Summer is now here. This is my first summer with a child who was in school full-time. Summer used to just kind of blend into the rest of the year ever since, I don't know, I personally got out of school. When you have kids and they're in preschool and pre-K and stuff, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. And yeah, summer is a whole different ballgame. We are in transition mode around here, which is so perfect for solstice energy this week. But I do have a very important announcement dropping tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribed to the show and, all that good stuff, and checking back tomorrow for that. But for now, let's get into Litha. So Litha, the summer solstice, the summer solstice happens when one of Earth's poles tilts closest to the sun, which gives that hemisphere its longest day and shortest night of the year. This occurs twice a year, once for the northern hemisphere and once for the southern hemisphere. During the summer solstice, the sun reaches its highest point in the sky, and at the poles, there's nonstop daylight. The winter solstice is the opposite of this, with the shortest day and the longest night. So, today, June 20th, 2024, at exactly 4:50 p.m., marked by the sun moving into Cancer at that time, today is the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, and a very happy and merry winter solstice to all of our southern hemisphere neighbors today. So keep in mind, when we talk about today being summer solstice, really solstice / midsummer, Litha, this celebration, this energy is observed or recognized kind of like June 20th to June 24th, even 25th-ish every year, especially depending on the specific culture or belief system observing it. This is really the general range, and it begins today, but really think of this as, and you can think of all of the sabbats this way, they really are observed over the course of a few days. And it's very, very similar to astrological transits and aspects that we're following and like forecasting. This energy, yes, it peaks, or it's at its exact positioning on the day we mention it, of course, and that exact kind of timestamp for it. But the energy of these transits is felt before, of course, during, and after. And it's very, very similar, same concept with the sabbats, and no different for summer solstice, of course. So the first things first, especially when it comes to Litha, when it comes to summer solstice, but in a lot of ways it's both solstices, whether it's winter or summer. There's just a little bit different flavor on the theme presiding over the day, because summer solstice, our theme presiding over the day is just that day. And of course, the winter solstice, the theme presiding over that day is, of course, night, right? The opposite and contrast to these concepts. And when we're in the theme and energy of day and summer, taking it easy, slowing down, having a little bit of fun with it, not taking it all so damn seriously. That is really a big name of the game when it comes to summer solstice energy. And again, I would actually argue a lot of these concepts are that like similar but opposite when it comes to summer solstice and winter solstice. They definitely have that opposing relationship with each other. So there's those similarities there. But don't get so hung up right off the bat. Don't get so hung up on exact times and dates when it comes to this celebration, when it comes to this energy. So first of all, in summer solstice is this huge, broad, widely recognized event and celebration, okay? In neo-pagan culture and many branches of modern witchcraft, the summer solstice is celebrated as part of the Wheel of the Year and is known as Litha, also known as Midsummer or Midsummer's Eve, which is the night before Midsummer, obviously. This time of year in general, when we think about the summer solstice and what this looks like in that geographic location during the especially, what that looks like for us right now in the northern hemisphere versus the southern hemisphere. When we're in summer, we're thinking lush, vibrant, fresh current growth. We are talking major physical evidence of Earth's abundance, right? All around us. This is a time associated with so much magic, and it's that like right there and right in front of your face kind of energy. It's undeniable in the nature being reflected back at you, all around you. And summer solstice has been celebrated by almost every, if not every culture in some way, like this concept of summer and honoring and working with and tapping into the energy of this midday energy, right? Midday, high noon, full sun, full illumination. That's the archetype of the energy we're talking about and honoring during summer solstice. As usual, if you've been listening to my little Wheel of the Year series we've been doing on Moonday this year, I wanted to read a helpful passage from the book The Hearth Witch's Year by Anna Franklin. I just find that there's lots and lots of great resources, tons out there about Wheel of the Year and the history and background of these sabbats. I really like how author Anna Franklin sums a lot of these ideas and terms and concepts up in her book. And so that's linked in the show notes for you. It's not sponsored or anything. It's just a really good book. But it's linked in the show notes below if you would like to get a copy, of course. So the word solstice is derived from Latin and means, quote, sun stands still, end quote. For 3 days around the winter and summer solstices, the sun appears to rise and set at almost exactly the same place, so it seems to be standing still on the horizon. However, while the date of the solstice varies between June 19th to 23rd or so, the official calendar for midsummer is pegged to June 24th, which is St. John's Day in the Christian Almanac, and to which the earlier pagan festivities of the solstice were appropriated. Now, that's the end of the little passage I wanted to read. This is a good sum up of... Here we're talking about the neo-pagan modern witchcraft approach and like looking through that lens and celebrating solstice. However, this has been celebrated, like I said, and honored and recognized by like a huge number of communities and cultures and religions and belief systems throughout time and history here, okay? Dating back to even before history was written, we have evidence of the solstices being recognized and honored, right, in things like Stonehenge and different archaeological findings. But the bottom line is, and this is kind of the cool and crazy thing, for something so huge and massive like this, of course, just like any other celebration, when it comes to these really major ones, of course, we're going to see different versions of it picked up by, appropriated, adapted, evolved from, developed from, rooted in all kinds of different sources. This is one of those things, summer solstice, for example. This is one of those things that is so broad. Yes, parts of these traditions were directly stolen, if you will, from certain pagan communities and were worked into new religions where we were trying to convert large groups of people. Of course, you're going to see evidence of that here, but you're also going to just see straight up development and evolution and adaptation, like I said, of solstice celebrations among culture to culture simply because of how widespread and really universal the concept of this celebration is, even for folks that live on or close to the equator, which means they're not going to see nearly like the changing of the seasons, right? Or the difference between summer and winter solstice as one is going to see when you live much more north or much more south, closer to Earth's poles. And still, the Earth's equator itself, that area, that climate, that type of weather and seasonal pattern is linked to and parallel to this exact concept we're talking about. Midday, full sun, full bright sun, especially because the equator, right, is this like midway point on the circumference, is that right to say? Circumference of the Earth. So equally between the North and South poles, which again is symbolic of summer solstice, where sun is at its highest point. We're at our brightest, full light. It's this feeling of endless summer. But what's fascinating about solstice, especially when we're celebrating summer solstice at one of the poles in the northern or southern hemisphere, winter solstice we associate with, hey, this is the longest night. No matter what, the light starts growing tomorrow, right? We end winter solstice on this really hopeful note. There is a bit of an ominous feeling, conversely, with summer solstice. And this is noted in various resources where you read about the meaning and spiritual significance of summer solstice. But there is this kind of ominous feeling in the air because it means the opposite. This is this beautiful, the longest day and the shortest night. Let's take full advantage of it, right? Let's celebrate and party and honor and give thanks and praise and connect and love, all those things. And inevitably, what this day marks is that tomorrow the sun begins to set, metaphorically, if you will. The days are inevitably getting shorter, beginning tomorrow. And now, depending on who you are, some of us are like, yay! My favorite season is coming. But even for those of us that do love that this means Halloween is like a hop, skip, and a jump away now. Once solstice happens, we're like practically there. even for those of us that can look at it that way, there is this kind of ominous feeling, and that's okay. This is a part of the meaning and the significance of summer solstice. Just like conversely, like that equal but opposite winter solstice, where we're like, hey, we're going to get through this longest night, and no matter what, the light starts getting bigger and bigger, longer and longer tomorrow. When it comes to summer solstice, the reminder is, I'm going to be honest, that awful saying, all good things must come to an end. And I'm a person with a lot of fixed energy in my chart and a lot of natural resistance to change. So I hate that phrase, for example. I have a very hard time accepting that concept. It's super, super, super difficult for me. And it's so important. It is such an important lesson. So, this celebration in and of itself is about light, full peak illumination, full peak abundance, that exhilarating feeling of ecstasy, that amazing moment on the roller coaster, combined with accepting that the ride is going to end. You will have to get off the ride. You will have to leave the amusement park. The party can't keep going forever and ever and ever. And we can take the beauty of simplicity that summer solstice gives us by just living as fully present in the moment as possible, so that when it does inevitably come to an end, we get to look back on it fondly, with love and pride in our hearts. And that resistance to acceptance, therefore, doesn't like taint the whole experience, and like shroud the whole thing in this murky disappointment instead. What's really amazing about this massive global solar celebration, if you will, is that one of the most common threads connecting all kinds of belief systems in different communities throughout history, celebrating and honoring and working with summer solstice, is fire. Hands down, it's fire. It's in so many different rituals, so many different traditions, so many different lore and celebrations throughout so many different cultures and communities throughout the world and throughout history. So fire during this time, to banish and protect, to cleanse and purify, to bring abundance and good fortune, to raise power and connect with the spirits, to offer our thanks and praise, and fire to dance and play. Sun, fire, light, all of these concepts come together and are the overarching theme of illumination. It's all out on the table. It's all in the light. Here it is. And this is extra punctuated this week because we also have our full moon in Capricorn tomorrow, the following day after solstice. It's actually at 9:07 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, June 21st. And again, that's going to be in Capricorn. It's at 1 degree in Capricorn since it's right after Cancer season begins. So there is a very, very big punctuation and emphasis with this year's particular summer solstice on this concept of everything is illuminated, everything is out and fully in the light. This is a time to open yourself up to clarity. But remember, with clarity comes this huge concept we're talking about of acceptance. So yes, this big, beautiful party in solstice, and inevitably it will come to an end. This is the longest day and the shortest night, but inevitably the days get shorter after today. And also, yes, full illumination, full clarity, all that truth, beautiful. And that also comes with acceptance of that truth. Okay? So when it comes to working with this energy in your practice, first, let me give you some magical correspondences here. The Oak King is very, very associated with Litha. Oak King, Pan, Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, and Puck, and Green Man, Apollo, god of the sun and light, Helios is god of the sun, Apollo is god of light. These are all very, very associated with summer, midsummer, and summer solstice energy, okay? Big time in the lore across various cultures are the gods and the deities and the beings associated with light, with sun, with growth, that fertile abundance of the earth, fairies, spirits of nature. I also read that specifically when it comes to fairies, that the Selkies are very associated with midsummer, which is a fun little rabbit hole to fall down, or Selkies. And don't worry, I hear you. We will be doing a fairy episode, but I've got to do some very due diligent research and warding and protection magic before we actually drop that episode, but it is coming. But yes, this is a time very associated with fairy energy, that they're, fairies are at their peak during this time, and that there's a lot of magic to be harnessed right now. There's a lot of blessings in the air. There's a lot of very good fortune that, when we do these community rituals and fires together, and kind of send our wishes out, they are, we can just lovingly trust they'll be granted. Very classic solstice energy. Also, some animal spirits associated with solstice very commonly are cattle and horse. Also, there are many herbs and anything associated with solar energy in general. Any food associated or that looks like or makes you think of the summer and the sun. Perfect for solstice. But a couple of the most common associated with summer, midsummer, Litha is lavender and St. John's wort, especially because St. John's Day, remember, which again adapted a ton of ancient pagan cultures. So St. John's wort also, as well as lavender. Now, some crystals. Look at the birthstones. Keep that in mind. Whenever we're celebrating a Sabbat, take a look at the birthstones associated with that month or associated with that current zodiac sign. So things like emerald, jade, lapis, tiger's eye, citrine, and anything associated with sun and fire. Citrine, amber, ruby, carnelian are excellent stones to work with. All of these correspondences I got inspired from my favorite resource for correspondences, which is Llewellyn's Book of Correspondences. That's also linked in the show notes below. It's not a purely exhaustive source, but it is a really solid starting point at the very, very least. When it comes to solstice energy and the best time to work with this energy or really feel it, really tap into it, is going to be peak times like midday. So midday, that high noon, sun highest point in the sky time, wherever you live, that is, again, it could be today, solstice day, but like I said, this really it blends over the next several days. So really anytime over the next several days at that really high sun in the sky point, midday. But also since we do have the full moon coming up and we have another version of this energy, that full illumination peak time, full moon time is also going to be a great time to really feel into and tap into and work with this high peaked energy. And just as a reminder, that full moon time, again, exact, is Friday, June 21st this year at 9:07 p.m. Eastern time. And the full moon in Capricorn will be at 1 degree of Capricorn. So the sun will be at 1 degree opposite in Cancer at that time. But here's the overall takeaway when it comes to working with any or all correspondences or anything associated with solstice. Keep it simple. If there is one thing I found over and over again in my research and brushing up my knowledge of this pagan celebration, it was that simple common thread found over and over again, culture after culture, regardless of the time period. Something as simple as fire, bonding around a fire, and the infinite ways one can work with the concept and energy of fire. Play, have fun, say thank you to people, say I love you, celebrate others, celebrate yourself. Be in a place of honoring. You know, maybe it's something like honoring the memory of someone that you lost. Or maybe it's honoring a challenge that you've been facing. Maybe it's honoring a certain god or goddess. It doesn't matter. There's so many different ways. But this common thread tells me and tells all of us, our souls, there is something absolutely immortalizing about honoring by fire. There is something that just connects us instantly to spirit, and our existence and our experience, and both our soul selves, but also our human and physical selves, all by fire. So my biggest advice for you is don't overthink this, okay? We really tend naturally, as the very amazing beings that we can be with these brains that we have. The problem is we tend to overthink and overcomplicate everything. Keep this one especially easy, breezy. My beautiful cover girl. But seriously, don't overthink solstice. That is literally my advice. Play and have fun. Say thank you. Say I love you. Celebrate. Honor. No matter what those things are you're celebrating and honoring or saying you love or playing, like, just do it. That's the best way to work with solstice energy. Be present, be fully embodied during this time, during this beautiful peak, abundant energy, so that, yes, when the days inevitably begin getting shorter tomorrow and the nights inevitably start getting longer again, which can be really, really challenging for people. This can be a really, really difficult time coming up ahead. How you're spending your time right now, what you're being fully present in, is setting you up for this upcoming season. I promise. And there's something about this fuel that we're given this time of year that really, really carries us through. And before you know it, it's going to be winter solstice. And we're going to be talking about, don't worry, the light starts getting bigger tomorrow. And to all of our pals in the Southern Hemisphere, we honor that is where you are at and where you are celebrating in your journey right now as well. So I love you and thank you, neighbor. Again, I have a little announcement, very important, coming your way tomorrow now that summer is here. I am celebrating solstice and I am honoring all that you're honoring right alongside you, neighbor. I will talk to you soon. Make sure that you stay safe, keep having fun, everyone, and stay magical out there. What is That Witch School? Well, it's kind of my twist on Patreon. See, for as little as $5 a month, you can get instant access to our entire back catalog of incredible bonus content, like bonus episodes, witchy lessons, a ton of astrology resources, guest teachings, and so much more. But I didn't want to just keep the magic going in between episodes with bonus content. I wanted to keep the learning going, and I wanted to keep the community going. So I also offered tiers that opened up opportunity for continued intentional, magical academic learning, as well as opportunity for creating community with like-minded witchy individuals. For just $30 a month, you can get full, complete access to everything inside That Witch School, including our exclusive members-only social media platform on Mighty Networks, where right now, witches and energy practitioners and students just like you are all learning, working together, sharing together, and supporting each other week in and week out. We talk about the show, we share dreams that we've had, we share each other's tarot readings, and ultimately we support each other as magical beings in a very anti-magical world. You can join us today at thatwitchnextdoor.com/enroll to learn more and start your enrollment today.